incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 131 of The Grove Podcast. Now, I hope you're all doing very well and it's another good day to be an Arsenal fan. A statement, Champions League win, some high quality football and more piss being boiled with our set piece goals. And you know that phrase, let's not try and boil the ocean. It gets often said in corporate meetings and whatever. Well, if the ocean was full of piss, I think we'd be really close to boiling it at the moment. So, I'm here for it all day. So anyway, after that low rate intro, joining me today to hopefully raise the tone is Jamie. How are you? And we're a bit good, aren't we?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm doing really well. I had a fantastic night out yesterday, so yeah, can't be bad.
What's not to like about a 4-0 glorious win over Atletico Madrid? So look, we'll cover that in today's show, going through all the usual stuff as we do. But we've also got a little feature at the end, which sort of a bit of engagement with our listeners, followers. It's a 3-word review of the game, so a bit of fun and something I thought we'd add to the pod as suggested by a good friend Andy Unusis, the lad you met on Sunday at the NFL. He's a long-suffering Sunderland fan. He's my running partner. He's a friend and a listener of the pod. And he thought it might be a bit of a fun idea. So yeah, we'll give that a go. And then we'll
the way you introduced him there. It sounds like it's in memorandum. To be honest, like it's like what you'd carve on his gravestone. You know what I mean? Friend, running partner.
The way he leaves me for dead running, yes, sometimes I do wish he was. it would be the only way I can keep up with him, but there we go. No, he's alive and kicking, and I think enjoying the sunny roads at the moment, the lucky bastard. Anyway, hello Andy. And then we'll finish with a preview of Sunday's Premier League clash at home to Palace. So there we go. And look, as always, if you can follow, subscribe, leave a very nice 5-star rating and comment, we do appreciate it. We do notice it. It really, really does help, and gets the pod into the ears of other people, other less fortunate people than yourselves. So if you can get on and do that, that'd be great. And also, before we get on with stuff, it's a happy 76th birthday for a certain Mr. Arsene Charles Ernest Wenger, born on this day, 22nd of October 1949. So if you're listening, Arsenal, many happy returns from the Grove Podcast. So there we go. Hope you're having a nice day and enjoying your cake. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Let's get on with things. So as we always do, Atletico Madrid. What was your highlight and low light from last night's game?
So low light, I just can't give one. I honestly, I know I always struggle with this a lot of the time, but I'm just not going to give one at all. And highlights for me is going to be the second goal, which was just absolutely my favourite, because it just had such, there was a real, could have been a birthday present to Arsene. It actually been his birthday yesterday. It had a real classic Arsenal feel to it. Not even in the mid-Wenger era, of the early Wenger era. You know, the way that Lewis Skelly gets clear of a couple of players and then just drives. And it's a lovely run by him, and then a perfectly weighted ball that had Vieira hallmarks about it for me. And then that ball through to let in Martinelli, and he gives it the Henry finish. So it had a real throwback feel to me, that. And it was just wonderful to see. And I was really delighted that MLS did that when he was given the opportunity as well. And I must admit, you see those moments like that, and as I've mentioned to you before, this season at least anyway, with the sign of Hincapi, you know, maybe we start to see him play that midfield role a little bit more at times. But yeah, just wonderful, and mainly, yeah, both things were just done with perfection. The carrying of the ball, the weight of the pass was just absolutely spot on, and then Martinelli's finish is glorious, and it feels like he's really getting a nice bit of confidence back at the moment, Gabriel, as well. So it was a big part of it for me as well.
It's interesting you said that. Actually, what you said about the Vieira bit, I hadn't even really thought about it, because everyone's going Henry type finish, and everyone, but you're right, that Vieira run, and I think also, so yeah, you're right. It was very early Wenger days, Highbury days, sort of Arsenal sort of thing. You could see it either. You could see Henry, or maybe even Pires, because Henry's is a bit. I don't know, maybe even more Pires-like finish.
Yeah, true.
Coming from that side, and whatever it was a great finish. And I think someone said it was like a 0.01 xG, so it just goes to show it was not an easy chance. And also, in terms of that run and what he did, he didn't do a huge amount of those because of the way Atletico Madrid were playing, and I'll get onto it. He was more stuck in the traditional, I think, fullback row. He didn't invert a great deal. Yesterday, the opportunities weren't there because of the way Atletico set up, and I'll touch on that. The way their 4-4-2 formation just did not lend itself to having inverted fullbacks. But yeah, you're right. It was a brilliant run, and that's very Lewis Skelly to get the ball, turn, and be brave. And I was just saying, release it, and because I thought maybe Gyōkeres through the middle was the one.
Fabulously timed, isn't it?
Yeah, it just draws the defender in, Martinelli in space. Yeah, it's perfect. Look, 9 times out of 10, as the stat says, he's not going to score it, but we got that one time, and I think it was a great goal. For me, it's interesting. You're right. I was struggling to find lowlights for the game. So I decided to have a little bit of fun with it. I mean, not getting 5. I think 5 would have been real statement wing.
Do you know, I was going to say that, funnily enough, when we walked out for, I was in the same mindset. For whatever reason, 5 has this like thing, doesn't it, about fucking hammered them. Like 4-0 is a commanding win, but 5 has this thing about it where it's like, and it's similarly as well. You go then to 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, and 10. It's just we're just hardwired that kind of multiples of 5, isn't it? It's something to do with the decimal system, I'm sure.
It would have been nice that 5. You're right. Saka playing the full 90. Did he really need to? Would have been maybe good to get him off earlier, but he knows how to manage his time on the
bloody hell,
on
mate.
the field.
What are we 3 years ago now? Or what? Are we just bringing up the same old negatives on when we had nothing else to talk about. Saka played 95 minutes again. It's just like.
He didn't have to.
Right.
It could just get.
He's not actually played that much football, so he's fine. Don't worry about it. It's good.
Okay. The other one. Here's another silly one. Like the fact that we allowed 1 shot on target blemishes our record over the last three games.
Piss off.
I said I'm scratching. I'm really desperate here. And the only other, so linked with the 5, our result on any other night, and it still was a statement win, I think. But our result, I think, unfortunately, given how the games happened last night, will get lost in amongst the crazy results yesterday.
Yeah.
If you think about 6-1 Barcelona Olympiacos, then we had 7-2 Paris Saint-Germain away beaten by Leverkusen. 6-2 PSV beating Napoli, 4-0 Inter. I still think maybe Paris Saint-Germain beating by Leverkusen 7-2 away is a bigger result. But I think if you see 4-0 Arsenal beating Atletico Madrid, people are like, bloody hell, that's a really good result.
I reckon when it gets to, when I start going through my cycle of, which will be tomorrow, of a few post-Champions League nights, podcasts and whatever, I think it will be talked of in those things. I was watching Soccer Special earlier on, and Paul Merson was just saying just how impressive it is to steamroller Atletico Madrid 4-0. Like, it was just like this you can't lose sight of the fact this is still Atletico Madrid. This is still a Diego Simeone outfit. I thought it would be harder than it was, to be honest, by a long distance. So yeah, I do get you. I agree, but I think people will have taken notice for sure. But it won't be quite as strong a fanfare, will it? It won't be quite as strong a talking point because he's got to compete for the airwaves
with the others, and let's see what happens tonight. But in terms of a highlight, and I think we will get to the obvious ones as we look through the game. So I'm going to be a bit different today and a bit off-piste, and it sort of touches on our preview. And my highlight was Julian Alvarez, their centre forward. I said you called it in the preview pod, and he was so good yesterday. He was on my side of the pitch in the first half, and I couldn't take my eyes off him. Apart from his hair looking a bit funny, his movement, touch, positioning, he was by far their best player and most dangerous. He had that
the only
chance.
thing is, did you find yourself sometimes thinking there were two of him on the pitch? Because little Simeone is quite similar, isn't he? So you can quite easily between the two of them lose which one's which, and they're quite similar players.
He's everywhere.
Respects. So you just
he's everywhere.
I'm just going, shit.
How many I was trying, as we were talking about my eyesight, he was number 19, so I was always looking at least I could make the difference between a 1 and a 9 versus someone else. But look, he had that Raya chance, that chance where, after the quick throw and Raya was no man's land, and he had the one where he did that great turn and cross and hit the crossbar, great turn and shot, and he hit the crossbar. And he was leading the line with Sorloth, and then he was dropping into midfield. Just so good, and it really stood out for me. And I never paid that much attention to him at City, so it was like something new, different. When you get
a heartbeat, I absolutely love him. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. When he was at City, I really, really liked him. But certainly since he's been at Madrid and he's got the opportunity to be like a main man, he right now I think is in the top few strikers in the world. There's very few that are better. He's really good.
He'd be fantastic in Arsenal red and white. He was in a different red and white yesterday. He'd be fantastic at Arsenal. Where he'd fit, who knows? But we'd find room for him. So it was just like, again, it brought me the days of old watching European games. When someone would turn up and you're just not familiar with them, and they're like, "Oh wow, who the hell is this guy?" Okay, no, Alvarez, no, people know him about it, but me, in terms of how much I paid attention, I especially that first half, just. So good, and for me was the standout player in that first half. So that was a bit of a highlight, and just because of the high quality of the game as a whole, I just really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed that performance because I never felt he was a threat or we were going to lose, so therefore I could enjoy it, in a way, rather than fuck off, stop being so good, type stuff. So there we go. More on that later. So look, in terms of the lineup. So Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS for Calafiori. Then we had Rice, Zubimendi, Eze, and then Nelly, Gyōkeres, and Saka. So I think MLS for Calafiori, I think we called that one in the preview. Eze remained in the sort of cam position, and Nelly on the left. Again, I think we called that because he doesn't half like a European night, and then maybe we should put the Champions League play music on his playlist before every game, because he seems to like a good Champions League evening. But the only surprise I think, and I would have put money on this, Marino not starting. But were you fairly happy with that lineup? Any particular thoughts on that lineup?
No, it was nice to see MLS starting. I thought Martinelli as well. It made total sense for him to come in. So yeah, it wasn't unexpected in any way, shape, or form. And it was a strong lineup, and it'd be interesting actually just to I don't know whether he's done any interviews that delved into it in any way, shape, or form. So maybe it's not that interesting a question for some, but the kind of the method in bringing MLS into the side ahead of Calafiori in particular. I think
this. Go on.
No, you carry on.
Well, no. I think this touches on to one really fascinating aspect of the game that I found. It touches on the 4-4-2 setup of Atletico Madrid, and this again, what I was saying about. I think we would have been exposed had we had our usual Calafiori, because Calafiori roaming around that, because having to have the two. If you've got one up front, then you can find. If you've got one attacker up front, then fine, you can have the three at the back or the two at the back covering that. Because they did play with two at the front, it sort of meant that we needed people back.
Yeah, it's
hard. Needed people back there.
Harder for the centre halves to cover in it. It's simple as that. Yeah. It makes sense.
And they had their attacking wingers as well.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. And if he's read that, then great call, because MLS was disciplined, was good throughout the game, and then had that that one fabulous moment as well on top.
And then maybe would have had Hincapié been maybe fitter. I wonder if he might have played better, because
he's not anymore. I don't think he's that much more different. Have you seen much of Hincapié?
No, but I think he's more of a up and down. So he'll stay up and down the left hand side, I'd suggest, rather than Calafiori ending up necessarily
hanging out as centre forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But I don't think Calafiori hanging out as centre forward for Bologna either. So I think that is a feature of becoming a left back at the Arsenal, that you start to stray from that position on a regular basis, albeit he does have a particular tendency to really get about, doesn't he? And he seems to want to be playing centre midfielder half the time, which I think he'd be a bloody good one at, to be honest.
Yeah.
As well, but he certainly. I think with Hincapié as well, it'd be interesting to see what he's like when he actually gets a game now, and presumably that's going to be coming because he's been on the bench for this one. So I would fully expect that we start seeing him get some appearances over the next few weeks now. But
you'd imagine against Brighton in the EFL Cup next Wednesday, Hincapié should get a start. So I mean. It was just really interesting to see the 4-4-2, and again, it's such a long time I've seen that in the flesh at this level, and it took us a while to work it out and to find the spaces.
Arsene Wenger's birthday again, mate. The biggest fan of the 4-4-2 you'll ever find. He'll eulogise about it.
Yeah. So and I think it caused us trouble in terms of and that's why the first half. I think again we had moments, but I think we were just trying to understand where the spaces were. Then there was the inevitable low block, 11 men behind the ball. You got Atletico Madrid, Simeone team being defensive. So it took a while, and I think it was always going to be a game of patience. But I really enjoyed watching that tactical battle and my positioning. It was just, I think you would have really enjoyed this. Unfortunately, you being low down, you may not get to see the whole play, but being up where I was, just that tactical aspect of it, the position, the players, the trouble that Sorloth and Alvarez caused, and Alvarez being up front with two, then he drop in midfield, so suddenly there's a 5-man midfield, or the wingers push.
It's interesting about Sorloth in particular, because I thought Sorloth was a bit shite, if I'm completely frank.
It wasn't in terms of his quality, but just that presence there, so maybe it's just more about his positioning. But it was brilliant to watch, and I just loved that first half. It's sort of like just seemed to be a bit of an old school, just such high quality as well. But because you didn't hate the opposition, you could watch it for what it was, instead of like had it been a Man City or a Liverpool. You've got that emotional aspect, and you just don't maybe appreciate what they're doing, so you dismiss it all. Salah's shit, Trent Alexander's shit, whatever. Even though we know full whether they're not. Whereas in this case, you could watch it for what it was, and I think it was just a high quality game, a game of football, and that's what and that's why I feel like it was a statement win, because again against one of your stalwarts, really experienced manager like Simeone, who's always difficult to beat, and we shouldn't take this result lightly. And it was really impressive, and in the end of the game, it was about patience. We kept them plugging away, playing our football, and in the end, our dominance and relentless pressure told. The running, the chasing, the probing, the attacking told in the end. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was an interesting game, and there's a bunch, I think, of what you said that actually sticks out as being slightly different, I guess, to what I maybe thought. I felt it looked in the first half that they couldn't live with the pace of us a few times. There were a couple of their guys that Hanko in particular seemed to be getting quite frustrated. Gonzalez seemed to be getting quite frustrated. And I actually kind of felt, my impression afterwards was that Simeone had got it wrong in terms of the tactical battle, because I didn't think that Sorloth really had anything to do with the game. And I appreciate, some of that might be holding a play or whatever, but I think you need something a bit more active than that against this Arsenal defence. And I thought when Griezmann came on, they actually looked, potentially a little bit better, actually, and a bit more balanced. It was it's a interesting game, but I kind of had the impression instead, it felt like we were landing better punches than them throughout the match, and then we landed, the knockout, or the first blow that stuck him on the canvas. It just escalated, didn't it? It just went, it was left hook, right hook, left hook, and then bash, off you go, and it was done in 14 minutes from the first.
13 minutes.
13 minutes. I mean, yeah, absolutely brutal. But it did feel like it was coming for me. Quite early on, I felt pretty comfortable in the game from early doors, really. And whilst I could see some quality from Atletico Madrid, and you could see their nous, and you could certainly see the mental side of it, that this team, is capable of being able to go toe-to-toe teams across the Champions League and make a nuisance of themselves. I just felt like I was watching a team that was going to be knocking on the doors and scoring a couple of goals. I quite early on, I felt that my 1-0 prediction was probably going to be Wolves, and I If I went back now, I'd go 2-0. Oh damn, it's got 2-0 instead of me. So I was delighted when we hit 4, and nobody's predicted that.
Well, exactly. No, I don't think anyone was predicting 4.
Just getting the win.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was, as I said earlier, I was never nervous, and I was fairly confident throughout. And I think 1 would be enough to win the game, and then it's like, can you build on that? It was like you get that breakthrough, not quite job done, but you carry on doing what you're doing. They're not going to get through, and we got the breakthrough in the usual fashion, and then it was bang bang bang. Good night Madrid. 13 minutes of excellent play where we just killed them. A combination of us being brilliant for 13 minutes and they just lost the plot, fell apart and really had no answer, and it was great fun, and it was a very 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 enjoyable, all in all. And like, even the stats sort of play out in terms of, it's fairly even in possession, and that's fine, but we had 2.19 xG to this 0.67. We had 19 shots to 11. We had 8 on target, and they only had that 1. We had 6 big chances, so to get 4 out of 6 is pretty good. They only had one big chance. Not too sure which one that was. So all round, we're pretty dominant from a stats perspective. They had a few periods of play, that we had to just ride out, but particularly after the first goal, but. Where they decided to attack and get a few corners and put us under a bit of pressure. But other than that 5-minute spell, and if it wasn't for us making some mistakes or some high quality stuff, it was we were ultimately the better team. And if we look at that, the first half, it was, as I said, it was a lot of prodding, a lot of probing. We had that Eze shot in the 5th minute. That was he took a deflection and off the crossbar, and then Rice just couldn't get over to finish it. And Oblak comes out to deny Saka. You felt maybe Saka could have gone underneath him with the ball, but it was sort of, they were very very on each other quite quickly. And then the first major incident was, and you would have had maybe a better view of whether it was going in or not, was the Raya trying to shepherd the ball out of play, and that was right in front of me, and I could just see it was slowing down. I was never going out. I
was the opposite. I was the far side from that. I was a block 6, so I was right.
Yeah, right, but you would have seen you would have known the ball. So basically, when it got to, Raya, then Raya goes trying to bomb back into goal. Yeah. Atleti take the throwing really quickly, and I'm surprised we didn't interfere with that a lot more, knowing the situation. Someone didn't disrupt that. I think
the problem is that our players had all gone to cover the box in case he gets the ball and be able to put a block in, right? So they'd all come into the box, and they're covering Raya effectively and letting Raya hoon it out. So Raya's the only person who can interfere. He's the only person,
and you don't want him to do that. Yeah.
And at that point, you're like, well, bloody hell. And I guess they're probably caught in 2 minds. There's a couple of lads who can sprint over maybe to try and disrupt it, but they are probably a bit fixed there, going, shit, we need to stay in these positions as the most optimal ones for Raya to hoon it back, and for us to be at least roadblocks in the way of whoever's going to try and whip it in.
You need Ben White to go and get one of the other balls and throw that on the pitch, and the other ball to throw on the pitch, just do something daft like that. But he still ended up getting it, but it just curled just wide. What I mean, from your position, you would have sort of known, not early on, but from my side, I was like, oh God, that's going in, where you would have said,
it was still a bit hairy, mate. I was still a bit hairy. Yeah. I don't know. It just, the whole thing made me very uncomfortable. It was one of those moments that you don't get with David Raya that you used to get with Aaron Ramsey. And I haven't, in fact, to be honest, there's a long litany of Arsenal goalkeepers that have had these sort of moments. Let's face it.
Almunia.
Yeah.
Or what's his name? The cup final.
Jens Lehmann, mate. One of our finest ever goalkeepers used to have these moments, semi-frequently. Only thing is, Jens Lehmann would have absolutely decked the Atletico player and probably got sent off, actually, because he was quite big on the, if I've had to come this far and this is causing me problems, I better make sure you can't walk afterwards.
Exactly.
It definitely it was a bit nervy, hair raiser in a way that you don't generally get with David Raya.
It was at Fabianski against Hull in the cup final as well, when he came storming out as well. So there we go. Yeah, it's the history of the Arsenal, to paraphrase. And then in the 36th minute we had the the Nelly offside goal. So Zubimendi making a nice tackle.
Real shame that was, because that was I was sat down there watching Saka and Timber go at them, all game, and that was just gorgeous cross from Saka. But unfortunately, I also knew it was offside immediately as well, because that's the disadvantage of being in that position where you see the craft of it and you're like, that was really nice, and then you also immediately there's no chance that's going to be.
No, I mean,
it was only about 2 seconds until it was flagged, I think. But either way, even before those 2 seconds were up, I'm not bothering celebrating.
No, he just looked. He's a bit too clear, and there was a bit of chat in the group chat. He didn't need to be offside. Could he have held his run? I felt if he holds his run, he's not getting to the ball in time. So it's one of those ones you just got to gamble, and then the defender's there. And he's got to go for it, because if he holds his run, the ball's going to fly past, and he might not get onto it. So it's just one of those things.
He was sorting out somebody's accumulator yesterday, wasn't he, Martinelli? There was about 5 offsides in the first half by about the half-hour mark. He just seemed to continually be a little bit hanging just a little bit over the line, unfortunately. But
but you mean he had a chat with
someone's builder bet came in beautifully there.
You mean he had a chat with Paqueta while on international duty? And then he also had another chance. Just that it was again on the 47th minute, a nice, great little cross by Zubimendi, and it was just one of those ones. The shoulder, you shoulder the ball, you head it into your shoulder. And it just, it's just. I think it maybe looked easier in the ground than it actually was, and it just one of those ones. But there we go. But a nice way to end the half. But then we came out the second half. I think did all right. But the first big moment of the second half was at 49th when Alvarez hit the bar. Great turn, great shot, and I thought it looked good, but I thought, this is gonna go over, and then suddenly it just dips and thwacks off the crossbar. Oh, that was a bit closer than it needed to be, and Raya was not getting that. And so a bit of a warning sign that no matter how dominant and strong you are, when you got players like Alvarez, something can happen. But then again, when you got players like Declan Rice and Big Gabby, something can happen as well on our end. And I think this sort of sums up Nelly's night, because in terms of not only did he get the goal, just the effort, and he wins a free kick. And I think ultimately the free kick itself was a bit soft, because I felt he jumped into the player, but he must have been almost tripped over 2 or 3 times, and he stayed on his feet, and then the ball's running out, and it was just every effort to go and get the ball. So I think he got the free kick just for the accumulation of everyone else trying to trip him up rather than the end bit, and the sort of, and then everyone's lining up, and it was just the most perfect delivery from Declan Rice. The trajectory, the timing. I
almost thought we might have gone in if Gabriel not even touched it, to be honest.
Yeah,
absolutely sumptuous, perfect.
It could have been one. Yeah, and then that was met with the most perfect of right. And again, I love my seat. Sometimes you could just see the 2 points meeting each other, and you could just see it happening. You could see the cross, see Gabriel making a move. No one laying a glove on him, and how can you stop this 7'12" beast of a Brazilian coming through? Just out of the way. No one's getting, and and all it needed was that touch. It didn't need anything other than a touch, and it goes in, and it was just perfect set piece perfection. And look, against disciplined, tight defenses, that's what you need, and we're good at set pieces, so we get the breakthrough, and again, it's that pressure telling like it did against Fulham. And it was interesting though that before we got that goal, I was wondering how we were going to change things up to find a goal, and this is where our injuries are having a bit of an impact, because I was thinking, we've sort of all got the big guns out here. What are we going to do to change this? So it was timely, and I think we needed it. Yeah, and I think it was just the game changer. Fantastic goal. And I've again, scrolling through the socials afterwards, one tweet that I found that I wanted to read out, and obviously not an Arsenal fan, but he goes, "How many of these must the football world concede before someone does something? Fucking hell, there is countless tapes, countless goals. Can one of you tactico set piece coaches please figure this shit out?"
Do you know, I mean, that sort of chimes a little bit with, I think, what I said in the our Grove WhatsApp group was this. For those that know, this is all getting a bit like the tush push, isn't it?
Yes.
which for those that don't know is the Philadelphia Eagles, last year's Super Bowl champions, have for about the last 3-4 years now been perfecting a move which everybody hates so much in the NFL that they're trying to get outlawed. It's affectionately called the tush push because the idea is that their quarterback Jalen Hurts, his tush is pushed by somebody to get him over a line whenever they only need to get the ball a yard or two. But in all seriousness, that probably will be outlawed in the NFL by next season. It lost by 1 vote this year because they called a whole vote on it.
Yeah.
And similarly as well, I just quite like that the reaction to that. Everybody's got this they're calling it kind of anti-American football and stuff, and then other people love it. And those that love it because they love the idea of this is a challenge. Somebody needs to do, if it was easy to do for a start, everybody would be doing it. And that chimes with us. If it was easy to do, everybody would be doing what we do.
Exactly.
And then on top of that as well, if it can be done, then there's got to be a way of stopping it as well. And again, drawing on other sports, the rolling maul at one point felt when rules were updated in rugby union that it was going to be unstoppable and there's no way to be able to deal with it. And teams found a way to be able to deal with it. And somebody will at some stage be a little bit better at defending them, and some teams have already been better at defending them than others against us. But in the meantime, let's keep on bloody doing it. Cracking. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely am here for all of the nonsense being spouted by opposition fans about how unfair it is that we score our goals this way.
And Arteta said about wanting to be the best at everything, and so this is a part of football, and we are the best. And look, it's all football is often about timing. We've got Declan Rice, who's an incredible set piece, taker. His deliveries from corners, from free kicks, incredible. And we have Big G on the other end of them, who's a man mountain that just cannot be stopped. And so we're fortunate. It's not going to be like this forever. That the skill will wane. That they'll move on, and suddenly the next person won't just be that, or the defender won't be the same. So it's just a moment in time, and that we're maximising what we have, and it's a combination of Jova, Arteta, and the quality of our players, and it's incredible, and maybe it'll dry up. It dried up last year for a bit. We were scoring a load, and then nothing happened. So you just got to maximize what you can with it, and I said it's a massive thing to have in your locker. When you are struggling to break things down, and it's a part of the game, and why not use it? I mean, look, it's a free kick out wide. Other teams are going to take free kicks out wide. We just happen to be really good at taking those free kicks out wide. We're not doing anything different to other teams. We're just doing it better, and that's it. It's a bit like when people complaining about long throw-ins. Fine, you throw it to a person there, and they'll cross it into the box. What's the fucking difference? It's getting the ball into the box by a means. Why does kicking the ball have to be more aesthetically, superior to throwing it? So it's just. Yeah, it's just snobbery and jealousy, I think, as we said in the last pod.
I'll say now that I'm absolutely loving it personally.
I think we all are.
I think the entire vibe though around, so not just set pieces, but it feels like we've gone through a bit of a rough spell where the boring Arsenal was being said by our lot as much as anybody outside of the club, and then now we're at a point, I think, where people can kind of get it and just go, it's sort of really relishing it a little bit in the same way. It's taken us back to the George Graham years. It's taken us back to, George Graham telling our players all the time, they all bloody hate us. Go out and do it, but nobody's going to do us any favours. Everybody hates us. And that seems to be an inside of the Arsenal and an external to the Arsenal with the fans. There is a real feeling of, I think, togetherness that actually, it only gets strengthened when other people are throwing pelters at you, and especially when they're undeserved. So, kind of a real feeling of just like, just own the tag, own the boring Arsenal and the 1-0 Arsenal. And we have got a load of quality, and there is a fair bit in there to entertain us. But, are we also just going to go and, I think the Tuesday Club summed it up on their pod the other day where they said we turn up to gaffs and people get upset because we suffocate the hell out of them. And I can get it. I used to feel like that when City came to us, and you felt suffocated, and you were like, I didn't really watch a bloody football game today, and I can get it. I understand that other teams feel that way.
Well, you work it out.
It's fucking great watching it from our side. It's lovely,
And the people who respect this, I reckon all the other managers are going, they're not going to be responding, this support, but they're going, geez, I need to work out how to stop this. I wish we could do something. I wish we had that. Yeah, you know, the you know, you'd be, and we'll come on to what Simeone said later on in the game. They're the ones who will be going. You know, you get the people in the game, currently in the game, and you're not commentators from pundits, whatever, from X years ago. The people here and now, they'll be like the ones looking at this is like, right, how can we replicate this, or how can we stop this when they come to town? They'll be respecting this. None of this, oh, it's boring, whatever. And define boring. I think, you know, me and you both enjoy NFL, which is a set piece game. Everything is a set piece. Everything's a bit. So the beauty in a plan coming together, the working of the timing, the movement, the execution, that is not boring. That is fucking beauty as well. As I said, if you sat where I was and thought that was boring, the timing, the execution, just the pure class and beauty of that, that's not boring. That's just a joy to behold. And yeah. So there's a lot of good in set pieces and as he said, if it was easy, everyone would do it. But
and talking to Simeone, I mean, there's a lot of pundits and fans who fancied Simeone at Arsenal at some point, and I guarantee you now it would be about the same with him as well. That man likes to go out and suffocate a game. That's his thing.
I would have had him, but
not that defensive either. I would argue as well. He's had some fantastic attacking talent within that Atletico Madrid team over the years, but he likes to suffocate a game, and it's been very successful.
And a few wonder goals away from winning more Champions Leagues as well. So, they're unlucky. But just to appease the haters, just because we want to be liked, along comes Martinelli in the 65th minute, as you said, with a glorious goal. That was, again, not boring, open play, fast, unstoppable, just fantastic. And again, the timing of it was great. As I said, it was after a spell that Atletico Madrid sort of came out and was threatening to equalise. But 2-0, that was definitely game over. A very difficult chance, superbly finished. And so I'm really pleased for Nelly. Nelly last night worked really hard all game defensively and attack. He made a lot of runs that were not being found or were not being given. Unlike Saka, who seems to get the ball whenever he wants. So you sort of got a feel for him a bit on that respected, but he never gives up. He loves a European night. And great for him. And he said a lovely piece from MLS showing his midfield tendencies last night, and a little stat, a completely pointless stat, but I like a stat on here. He's now assisted goals against both Madrid teams, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. At 19 years and 25 days old, he's become the youngest Englishman ever to complete this feat in the Champions League. I have no idea who comes up with this shit. It's like, that's really scraping the barrel of statistics in terms.
That's when you're just looking for. I mean, no, I'm not having that at all. That's not a stat. It's just a thing that happens. Like, fucking hell.
I know. I just thought it was funny. It's just what happens on the train home when I go and surf through stuff. So, and then the big Swede comes into play, or more so into play. On the 67th minute, a brilliant pass by Zubimendi to Martinelli. He cut back as they sort of had a shot, and it sort of, fell to Gyōkeres. I think it was hit. Gyōkeres was sort of standing there, and it sort of came to him fast, but he controlled it so well, and managed to turn and then get the most scuffiest of scuffy shots off. I think going for the far post, off the defender's legs, going to near post, into the far post. And he gets his goal. I think his first after 7 games, and he looked a bit sheepish. He didn't really want to celebrate. He looked a bit almost embarrassed. But
it was a bit
who
odd,
cares how they go in? They say he just needs one to go in off his arse, and we'll get onto that later. But he just happened to. I think.
The next went in off the other side of his, I think.
Yeah, it was actually his hit, but I said he cocked it in.
I don't know. I thought that was his schlong, personally.
No, unfortunately not. It was his hit.
No,
but
all right, fair enough.
Was the first goal the one where everyone really? I think it was where everyone really celebrated with him and really said, "Go on, no."
They all actually mobbed him, didn't they? And it felt like they were almost trying to go like, "Come on, head up, mate! You've just scored a goal." And then second goal, he really enjoyed it, didn't he? And you could see he really enjoyed that.
Yeah, but
Which
I
is
think
funny because the second goal wasn't even. It was still fairly scruffy.
No.
It's not like it was a world beater, was it? But
but yeah, it was like Calafiori against Man United, just on the line. But I think also. I think the first goal was where Gabriel pushed him into celebrating, and then he was doing his Bane celebration, and Gabriel was doing the Batman one, which I only just realised was a Batman one today. I didn't realise what that was until today. So Bane.
I thought he just cocked it up.
No. So actually, when he did it, so Gyökeres does the Bane one, and then the hand over the face is a Batman mask. And I never got the reference until today. So that's been since
neither had I.
Since Lisbon last year. So I'm assuming that's what it is anyway, after what I've heard and read. So anyway, but yeah, no, I think everyone really pleased for him. Yeah, celebrate. You scored your first goal for Arsenal in the Champions League, killed the game, and good on him. But then,
massively deserved his performance yesterday. I know I've been and again, I've not.
You've seen the light, Jamie. You've seen the light.
Well, no. Different games, different player profile. His profile was perfect for yesterday, and he executed brilliantly. He ran like mad, and he pressed brilliantly. I mean, and really effectively at times. He really did make Madrid kind of go plan B a couple of times. And he really did worry Oblak a couple of times, and he just ran his socks off. But also, I thought his hold-up play and his distribution was much better. He was much cleaner in the way that he distributed the ball, and his hold-up play was better. And he very much gave us a bit of an outlet. His all-round game, I thought, was really the best that I've probably seen in an Arsenal shirt from him. So, absolutely delighted for him getting those 2 goals, and he was absolutely the right player to be in that position yesterday, and probably was a more effective answer than we'd have got with Kai Havertz yesterday in that position.
Yeah, no, he worked really hard, and that, in terms of you saying the press, it was often a one-man press. It's not like you had Odegaard next to him doing that, and Martinelli was holding his position. I think Saka holding his position so often, and there was that one moment where he's just chasing, and he just runs, but he runs all day. It's not like he just kept going.
Phenomenal athlete, absolute lung busting stuff. Yeah, he's very. Like, it's the fact that they're high intensity, right? So I don't doubt that because he does play centre forward, and because actually there are quite a few rest moments, he won't travel the distance that you get out of some of those, Martin Zubimendi, for instance, over the course of the game.
He covered 9 kilometres yesterday.
I mean, that's not bad for a centre forward. You don't get that out of centre forwards that much.
Who doesn't drop back into midfield to pick up the ball? Exactly, it's literally from the 3 quarters.
It's the amount of it that's high intensity for me. That's the thing. He does massively high intensity sprints on very,
and repeat sprints. It's not easy.
Over and over and over again. And that's the impressive bit for me in that is that you can say Aaron Ramsey used to do 15k or something stupid, didn't he, one season? But he wasn't. He was just always moving. Aaron Ramsey always moving. He wasn't actually high intensity that often, and it wasn't the sort of long engagement kind of sprints and whatever. Whereas with Gyökeres, they are, and he does that, and he does it again, and then he's got to be composed and be able to control the ball and lay it off and whatever. It was great to see. So I thought really, really, really delighted for him.
Yeah, and also those sprints, it's not like he's running on his own into empty space. A lot of time, defenders chasing him on his shoulders or anything like that. And look, he just batters defenders as well. So not only does he work so hard, he batters defenders all night long. He keeps running all night long. And so he deserved his goal. But again, it's that thing. It's that relentlessness. It's that keep going on. That if he keeps doing that, he occupies defenders. That frees up Nelly. That frees up Saka at another great game. It frees up our midfield. So he occupies the goals. In a way, are an icing on the cake. Okay, it is why we've got him. But it's just his all round play. And he had two goals last night, 3 shots, 3 on target. He created a chance. 100% pass accuracy. I don't know how many passes he got, and he won man of the match. And Arteta said, he makes us a much better team. I think we've become much more unpredictable. He's so physical. He opens the spaces for everyone. The way he presses the ball, holds the ball, he's just phenomenal. And he was absolutely superb yesterday, and really pleased for him to get that first. And then the second goal again. Another set piece, another fantastic delivery, but again, not easy because again, the timing of it, it was to the far post, and not the far post, beyond the far post. Now, maybe it was a bit overhit, but then Gabriel, his run, and again, he gets to it, and to get it square across the edge of the box with his head, running at pace, angling. I look back at it today, it's like, it's just not easy, this shit. It's not easy, this stuff. And we make it look easy. And then, just Johnny on the spot, very Trossard's normally there, but he's there, and to just put it over the line, free and easy, and it was just great to see, and again it just ended a 13-minute spell where we just tore them apart, and it was nice to see, and the atmosphere in the ground was fantastic, and everyone's sort of really enjoying it. So so it was sort of topped it all off, and not a lot really happened there afterwards. We made a few subs, and then it was basically about Waneri or Saka trying to get that fifth goal. You could see them desperately trying to get it, but it never quite came off. But I don't think anyone's complaining. So game over, and so here we go. Some more meaningful stats. Arsenal won their.
Just on the subs, by the way, I found it really, really satisfying when we were able to bring on Merino with like 10 minutes to go against the Spanish club, when he's just gone on and scored so many goals for Spain. It's just sort of like, there was just something about it of being like, oh yeah, we'll bring him on for 10 minutes. The chap who's just scored 5 goals in 3 games for you.
Oh well, that's what I was half expecting him to start. To be honest, but talking about Spanish clubs, Arsenal have won their last 7 matches in a row against Spanish opposition, with a combined scoreline of 17-3, which is pretty impressive. So can we play you every week? I saw someone tweet, if we
just really don't like the Germans, do we? Basically, that's the major thing. We say that, just Bayern basically, but yeah.
If we played in the Spanish league, we'd fucking piss it. We'd be multiple champions. I tell you what, it's nuts. Diego Simeone said after the game, we lost 4-0, but people forget who we played. We faced the best. We faced the best team in Europe right now. He also went to say, in my 19 years of being a manager, I've never seen a team with this much quality. Unreal work from Arteta and his staff. And I think a lot. That's one thing as well in terms of the 2 words there that stand out, that sort of match up, is like, yes, we have the quality, but boy, we work hard. The reason we can play the way we do, the reason we are so good defensively, and I'll get onto that, is we just work so hard. And that's what I say. People go on about how set piece FC, boring, yada yada yada, but it so ignores how good we are defensively. In that with that in mind, we've now played, was it 9 group games or league games at home? We've scored 26, and we've not let in a goal in the last 3 years of European football in the group league phases. That's phenomenal. That's 4-0 PSV, 2-0 Sevilla, 6-0 Lens, 2-0 PSG, 1-0 Shakhtar, 3-0 Monaco, 3-0 Zagreb, 2-0 Olympiacos, 4-0 Atletico. That is
what
ridiculous.
You're saying, Tabs, is we should be campaigning on behalf of the European Super League, basically.
Yeah, well, it seems that way. I think we're like the Spanish league, we'll piss that one as well. And then Arteta does not get the credit for this. You got the perma idiots and gobshites like Jamie O'Hara and Sky, disrespecting what we do and saying he's not even one top 10 managers in the world, as if this shit is easy, as if doing that is easy. No, okay, PSG go and score 7 yesterday, but they're letting 2. Teams are scoring goals, but they're still letting in goals. That is just phenomenal in the group stages. Here's another one. Arsenal have conceded 3 goals. We've conceded 3 goals this season. And that's the best defensive record after 12 games in our entire history. So there's just, again,
I think we got a really good shot at the Chelsea record, right? So Chelsea, was that 15 goals, Chelsea?
Yeah, 15 goals.
So bear in mind, we after the next match, we will be officially a quarter of the way through the season. So if we manage to keep a clean sheet in the next game, we're on course for 12 goals conceded.
It's nuts.
So I'm just putting it out there. We are very, very much in with a shot at getting that record, which would be quite nice to take that away from Jose Mourinho, if I'm honest. And I'll tell you what, if we could do it with 14 goals conceded, how nice would that be as well, eh? And the old Keown and Henry number.
Exactly. And the thing, and also, but he did it parking the bus. We're not parking the fucking bus. We're not going 1-0 and parking the bus. We're doing this because we're just really, really good as a team defending.
I mean, in fairness, I don't think he did in that season in the Premier League. They went out and scored a boatload of goals and they were playing quite ambitious football most of the time. Don't get me wrong. They were like us. I think we used to say part of the...
So this is an example of me disrespecting me, hate, because I hate them. I don't give them any credit.
And I think, to be fair, at the time I said similar stuff as well, but they weren't. They just had a fantastic defence, anchored by the most brilliant centre half of a cunt that's ever lived, and that word is very much deserved for John Terry, and just some phenomenal footballers, great goalkeeper. They had the makeup of a similar team to us, and lots of decent attacking talent that were getting goals, and they knew how to win. Aside from praising that Chelsea team, honestly, I'd love it for us to do that.
It would be good,
personally. But it's secondary to going and win the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like on the Chelsea thing, I was living in New Zealand at the time, so I was very lucky to miss the Mourinho era. So I was quite fortunate about that. Okay, so that leaves us in third in the current group stage. Play 3, won 3, scored 8, let in none, and then you got Inter, who are actually having surprisingly decent start as well. They've scored 9, let in none themselves, and then PSG at the top, plus 10 goal difference, scored 13, let in 3. Behind us, you've got Dortmund on 7 points, scoring 12, letting in 7, etc., etc. So the usual people there. It's only 3 games in, but it seems like the bigger teams, unlike last year, are taking it a bit more seriously. The likes of Real Madrid and likes of Man City and so on, just not to have to play that extra game. There we go. But yeah, any before we move on to the 3-word reviews, any other players that stood out for you?
For me, not particularly, to be honest. I mean, otherwise everybody was just great. The one thing I will say is more of a stick up for somebody, which is Eberechi, who again, there always has to be, and it all fills in with all the kind of crap that we normally bang on about, not like whatever, but there always has to be some kind of narrative, doesn't there? And the one that's sprung up after this game, it seems, that, if you go and Google Eberechi at the moment, you're awash with comments from the likes of Jamie O'Fucking-Hara, and goal articles and Arsenal Insider and whatever. There'll be a load of web results from crap people talking out their arse about how Eberechi is currently underperforming and what's his best position. All these various bits and bobs. He's only just arrived. He's settling in. He did some nice stuff yesterday. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be anyway. I think he's a more effervescent player than necessarily what you might get out of, say, an Odegaard. But nonetheless, he's not done anything wrong. He's had one game where I felt he was a little bit less impactful. He's had a couple of games where I thought he was really impactful. And then yesterday he was a cog in the machine, and he did all right. There was nothing wrong. But I just want to kind of stick up for him and just say, I'm just really bored of where people just feel the need to
find something,
because there's nothing else to be able to write about. So
no, indeed, no, absolutely. The one standout, that was again quietly brilliant, but also not quietly brilliant was Zubimendi. Sort of running the show. His passing, his availability, but he's also aggressive. He's like. I was trying to think. It only popped into my head like a really, 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 really good Dennis Wise. I don't know why. It's just maybe his stature or something about him, but the tenacity's there.
He's not small. We've had this conversation. He's 6 foot. He just. I get it though. I get it, but like you said, like Dennis Wise's stature. Dennis Wise, who was notably tiny. Like
No,
it was like the full embodiment of Bob fucking Hoskins. Like, no, absolutely not. It's
but maybe it's the fact that he's always smiling. You know, Dennis Wise had that sort of perma smile, and Zubimendi's again the similar sort of thing. He's got a bit of a cheeky chappiness about him, and all that. And there's, by the way, there's far too many Chelsea references for this, considering I hate that clown car of a club. But let's move on. But anyway, his aggressiveness, his tackling, his interceptions, and he's just such a reassuring player to have there, and just at the base. And when I say sort of like quietly brilliant, you sort of don't really notice him, and then you notice him, but he's just the glue that keeps it all together. Just unbelievable, and
the most essential signing of the summer, right? By a mile, I think absolute massive upgrade, and just exactly what we've wanted for years and years and years, and had in fits and spurts from some players, but he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, just like that. There is nothing not to like about it. I mean, basically about all of our players. You're just so likable as well. Unfortunately, he got booked, but in a way, maybe that's a blessing in disguise because he misses the Slavia Prague game, so that means he's definitely going to be available for Bayern, subject to injury. So yeah, just a shout out for Zubi, who was great. So there we go. So onto sort of the 3-word reviews that we had from a few people on the Grove chat, on Threads and X and Blue Sky, and also I've got to get the TikTok ones. I think you said that escalated quickly, which I liked. We had so from the Grove we had Matt Stacey saying it's solid all round. Moz sums up this season's Arsenal. You know, Sensi said it was absolute cinema performance. Sasha, again, commenting on the goals when rain pours. Yeah, Alan, set piece again, of course. And then Guido, I wasn't too sure if this was a battle cry or a comment on our performance, but it was let's fucking go. And then Alistair comes from Sweden, obviously referencing Gyōkeres. And then Fraser said, stop spouting pish. Now, I think that was more a reference to what Moz was talking about than actually a review of the game. But I just wanted to throw that one in. Then on Blue Sky, we had the North Bank podcast, so that would have been Steph saying we're really good. Yeah, absolutely. I said,
like how you qualify that would have been Steph, because we know that no one else knows how to use social media
in their group. Absolutely. Well, I know he does the socials for them, so I know it's Steph. I put it's a bit like for the Grove. It's me. I put who's boring now? ? Claire from B Sky Social, set piece again. Yeah, of course. KP, 13-minute blaze. I like this one. Sid Silk, suck it Simeone. Nice one. Yeah, I agree. Fred said, bloody good day. Absolutely. Dubs for Sam. European sleeping giants. I think we're not sleeping anymore. I think we're wide awake. And then Dr. Jeff Gredlin was wait, go, which we did absolutely. The Retro Guna, masterclass in control, which it absolutely was. And then all I can do is read out the letters here. DT, TNGCBB, gratifying clinical dismantling, which I agree. And then I just want to get the ones from TikTok, so I promised that I would read them out to the guys I was chatting to. By the way, I can't get to grips at all with TikTok messaging. That's how fucking Luddite I am.
You're about 3 times the age of the target market, in fairness, mate.
Yeah, I think I am. Oh, God, I don't even know how to bloody bring. I don't even know how to bring the. Oh, here we go.
Dear listener, have you ever sat there with your mum trying to explain to her how a text messaging works?
Here we go. I mean, look, we got the madness. It must be love tune. That's how I put the request to. Champions League ours. Yeah, that's optimistic, but I agree. Actually, Brad 20, and that was from Tavion. Brad actually sent me an image, and I just said I'm too old or dumb to know what that means. And he goes, "They got pumped." Okay, that was perfect. They did, and then someone only sent a 1-word response, so I asked for 2 more, and he goes, "It was Benny, 180 boy, ruthless, dynamite, and sublime." So there we go. A bit of fun, some good reviews summing up our game, and I agree with all of them wholeheartedly. So thank you very much. And watch out for Post Palace to get the next 3-word reviews in. So there we go. And talking of Palace, we play them on Sunday, 2:00 kickoff at the Emirates. What are you looking forward to and not looking forward to about that game?
I look forward to seeing Eze turn up against his old club, right? The old, relationships with players is always something I enjoy. I enjoy having Palace gaff anyway, because Palace fans are wonderful. It'll be interesting to see how they get on with Eze. But yeah, I think it's and then otherwise, to be honest, I think I'm looking forward to us going and probably grinding out a 1-0 win against Crystal Palace at this stage. Let's just keep on, nose to grindstone. Don't really care how we do it. Keeping clean sheets, scoring goals from set pieces, and just doing the same thing all over again. Because I'm fully in it now. I'm absolutely fully in it. I just want us to, if we could win 1-0 every season, every match to the rest of the season, with a set piece goal, I'll be in.
I think we all would be. I think we all would be.
But otherwise as well, the other stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing will be, I think, Bukayo Saka up against Tyreek Mitchell, who's in really good form. That'll be an interesting little battle. And Jean-Philippe Mateta up against his international teammate William Saliba and Gabriel. That's going to be fascinating, because I did think he's given him a bit of a game before. You're in a match with Mateta, right? He's physical, he's strong, he's fast, he's got fantastic technique for his size and his overall profile.
You mean he's got good touch for a tall guy?
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say great touch for a big man, but yes. I think that's going to be fascinating. So those individual battles, I think, will be the things that I really look forward to, along with, as I say, seeing Eze take on his former club.
Anything you're not looking forward to?
Jean-Philippe Mateta, to be honest, because he's the man that worries me. Actually, I think their best player and the player it all revolves around is the young lad they signed from Blackburn. What's his name? Wharton. That's it, Adam Wharton.
Yeah.
Who I absolutely adore. There's something very Cesc Fabregas about that boy. But I think, they have a lot of individual quality within that side, a lot more than you might necessarily think. I certainly think both Wharton and Mateta next season will be playing at other clubs, as will
and Gray.
Gay will more than likely be playing there in January, I think. So they have a lot of really good players, and I would say certainly those three could go and get themselves a gig in a top 4 club, tomorrow at the right price, and probably Henderson in goal as well. So who's had a real resurgence, and he seems to really found himself at Palace, and at the moment, for me, feels a bit like he should be England's number 1. So yeah, they have some really good players through the spine. Anderson, who's alongside Gay as well. So yeah, what I'm not looking forward to is the overall quality of the opposition. They have a lot of it. It's reasonably well balanced, and mainly, if I was going to pick a single player out of it, it would be Mateta, that I really worry about him getting in amongst our centre halves.
Well, let me maybe allay some of those fears. Other than the 2-2 game last season, we normally actually do pretty well against Palace. I'd say since the 5th of August, 2022, 21, we've scored 21, they've scored 6. We've battered them 5, scoring 5 a couple of times, a couple of 3-2s and stuff like that. So we normally like to play Palace. I think last year, we won 5-1 at their place. Okay, that we're a bit scarred, and so Saka's scarred from that game. That was the game that pretty much ended our season when Saka ripped his hamstring to pieces. It was also the game that Jesus sort of suddenly burst into life for a couple of games. So Palace seem to be a friendly opposition. I think we like playing them. They're a non-threatening type club. I think we like their players. When they had Elise
they're
and
like our second club for most of us as well, aren't they? Let's face it.
Yeah, we like them. There's nothing not to like about them. Son maybe have a different opinion on that, but I said they've got some nice players. When they had Elise and Eze playing for them, you can enjoy watching them now. Ismail Assar is pretty impressive. Munoz is impressive. Gay, Mateta. sort of again another sort of likable team.
Good coach as well.
Yeah, and again, again, he really presents himself really, really nicely. I like it. You compare him to someone who's sort of maybe a bit younger, but maybe coming from a similar background to the guy at Brighton who's a complete pillock. How to carry yourself. How to carry yourself, and I didn't want to use the 4-letter C word, but that's what I truly think of him. He carries himself well, and he's a great coach. And I think we thought Palace were going to fall off this season a bit, but they continued. They've had a decent run, and look, last season at the Emirates. I mean, granted, we were focusing on Champions League, but it was 2-2 and a great goal from Eze with a volley from the edge of the box, and then Mateta taking advantage of a Saliba mistake and rare miles of his line, but still a great finish. So, but I lay the fears. We normally do pretty well against them. Can they keep us out? Can they?
Have you got any Eddie Nketiah fear?
No, not at all. God, I didn't fear him when he was playing. I didn't fear him when he was playing for us, let alone for the opposition.
Well, you're not supposed to fear him when he's playing for us, mate. That's not the way it works. That's normally the guy between the sticks for us that you fear.
What I mean is, I didn't think he was going to do much for us when he came on. So there's no fear he's going to do anything.
There's no storyline worry about that at all, about him turning up at the Emirates and doing as well.
Storylines are for unsustainable football teams like Liverpool.
Okay.
So and look, there is one interesting point. So you said looking forward to Eze against Palace, and it's sort of there's parallels to Rice and West Ham and in there, and Rice struggled in the first 2 games at the Emirates away. Funnily enough, at the London Stadium, it didn't seem to impact him, but at the Emirates, maybe he got a point to prove. Maybe he wants to show something. He didn't up until this year. He never performed against West Ham at home, and you wonder how emotionally Eze will cope with that. Whether being at home, so he's on our home turf now, with that safer surrounding where it won't impact him so much. So it'll be interesting to see whether he starts or
you're playing against
not.
Your mates as well, aren't you? Like regardless of the club and the badge and the fans. Actually, I think as much as anything, it's also you're playing against your mates, and they know what you're like, and they know what you're good at, and they know what you're bad at, and they understand that, and that kind of cuts both ways. But when there's 11 of them on one side that know your strengths, weaknesses, and have trained with you day in day out, and maybe know what to say to you as well to knock you off your stride a little bit. It's an interesting thing,
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. So yeah, I hope he plays. You look, they're professional footballers. I mean, but they are human. So it'd be interesting. I hope he plays, and I hope he puts in a good performance. Of course, here you go. Here's narrative. He'll score. There you go. If you think Eddie Nketiah will score, then Eze's going to score as well. And we know obviously he won't celebrate, and we won't dig him out for that. So let's see. I'm looking forward to.
He's going to dispossess Eddie Nketiah, chuck him to the floor, and then score. Is that it? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Eze not celebrating. There you go. Not looking forward to. Yeah, Mateta can cause anyone trouble, but again, we've faced the best strikers in the world, and R2 should be able to cope. So you just.
I do think when they do struggle though, physicality does tend to be an element of it, which is weird because I mean they are incredibly physical centre backs, and they dominate other players, and I think that's probably it. When you do get someone who's quite that dominant, there have been just a couple of times, even the Olympiacos this season actually, when they brought on the 2 big boys.
And we had Tony for Brentford that always caused Saliba a bit of grief.
Oh, Tony against Saliba used to boss them. Absolutely boss them. If you get these big lads who specifically, and again, you compare it to Erling Haaland on the other hand, they've kept really, generally pretty quiet a lot of the time. I've always said Erling Haaland doesn't use his body particularly well.
No, doesn't.
Not for the size of him. He kind of automatically almost does it, and he does it running side by side in the same way Gyökeres actually uses his knee when he's running side by side with the player, but doesn't tend to do it so well when he's, at other times he can.
No, I know what you mean.
Out-physiqued. Mateta, I've not seen be out-physiqued in any element of his play, and that's where I've seen players that really know how to use their body. Give those boys a bit of grief, and the couple of wily old buggers at Olympiacos were like that as well. And admittedly, plus side is they had absolutely zero pace. They weren't ever the greatest finishers in the world ever when they played in proper leagues. And overall, we managed to get away with it. But that does always worry me a little bit. If you give them somebody like that, and it might just be that you actually don't face many of them these days. If you play in the Premier League, who is there? Now that Ivan Toney's gone, who is there that uses their body that effectively as a centre forward? They're barely there. So you mainly only play them in Europe. So it's just a one to watch. I think I back us to go and win the game. In my prediction, I'll tell you now, I'm going to go for 2. I'm going to go for 3-0. In fact, I'm going to go for a 3-0, a strong 3-0 against the informed Palace side. But I do just look at that and go, if there's a chink, it's going to be the way that Mateta uses himself against those centre halves, and if he can create a bit of chaos and panic and just throw them off their game, because so much comes from the strength of that spine in our team. That if they do get thrown out a little bit, we can look a little bit at odds and ends sometimes.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, and so what do you anticipate will be the lineup? I mean, it's Tuesday to Sunday, so plenty of rest after yesterday. To be honest, after 70 minutes, it was pretty much a walk in the park. And we got Brighton over Albion in the EFL Cup midweek after the game. So squad and fringe players will get their minutes then. Liverpool play away at Brentford Saturday evening. City play at the same time as us, so there may be some pressure from other results. So, what do you reckon? Going full strength, going strong.
Italian stallion back at left back. And toss up between Trossard and Martinelli. I mean, it feels like that's going to be the way it is for the majority of big games whilst we have these particular sets of players available. And when I say big games, I know Palace isn't necessarily a big game, but I mean league games and the tougher European opposition. In comparison, Brighton I think is where we'll see a bit of change, and the same goes for Slavia Prague. Yeah,
no, indeed. It'll be interesting. I think he was going to continue with Eza there, and Trossard or Nelly on the wing. Take your pick. Most probably Nelly and most probably Trossard. And then
I think at our gaff we've got to go with Eza, right? 100%. It's not debatable for me, that one.
No. So as I said, Palace, as I said, they've had a decent start. They didn't lose a game until October 5th, and so they're currently in 8th. They've won 3, drawn 4, lost 1, scored 12, against 8, so +4. So, in 8th on 13 points, point behind Sunderland, Chelsea and Tottenham, and 1 point ahead of Man United. I think their best result. So there was a good result. They beat Villa away 3-0, but that was when Villa was still finding their feet. They beat West Ham away, but who isn't? And obviously the big one was beating Liverpool, which has sort of changed our season. So they're pretty good. But then they go and lose to Everton away, and then they had an amazing game against Bournemouth, and actually could have won that one. Mateta, talking of which, missed the easiest chance of the lot to win it 4-3 for them. But fairly. Not quite a mixed bag, but I think they've done pretty well. And that's it. They play on Thursday against AEK Larnaca from Cyprus, so in the Europa Conference League, and I think they'll be going strong with that. I think they'll look at that as an opportunity to do well in Europe. So that's to our advantage, I guess. They've got the Thursday Sunday thing, and they've had a couple of days rest extra. Okay, they're at home, but I think they'll still go big. So look, I think we've talked about their players and the various form, and you've already given me your prediction. So 3-0. I'm going 2-0 again. Get in, get the job done, get out. We don't want it to be memorable. Just tick, move on. It's a big game now because every game in the Premiership feels big. So the circumstance, just keep winning, keep ticking over, keep the games rolling. I think we'll have too much for them. Yes, they've got good individual players, but we've got better players, and we're a better team, and so we should be winning this. I won't say it's easy, but we should be winning this. So 2-0, 3-0 sounds about right. Okay, right, and with your finger telling your wife you'll be 1 minute, you're absolutely spot on. Girlfriend, sorry. Well, 1 minute, apologies. That's that for us. So thank you, Jamie, for this evening. Appreciate that.
No worries. See you on Sunday, mate.
See you on Sunday indeed, if we can decide which pub we're going to be at. And there we go. So look, you can follow us at Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, if I can figure it out, Insta, don't know what that is, and all the usual socials. As I said, if you can give us a like and a follow and a comment, particularly and a rating on the podcast apps, that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. Really appreciated. Next show will be post Palace, pre Brighton on Monday. And there you go. So there's been a few technical mishaps, so hopefully this will come out all fine. I'll do my best to piece it together, but apologies if it's a bit disjointed. But thank you for listening, and until the next time, happy birthday, Arsene, and come on, you Gunners.